please, for anyone in the audience who's listening and takes what I have to say seriously, and I hope you do not allow what is currently being carried out in the Gaza Strip to convince you that hatred is the solution. Because all it does is make the problem worse.
Everybody else, get back! If you're not involved, move back! Get away! Somebody stay with integrity! Everybody else, you have to fall!
Hate has real consequences, not just here in the United States, but globally. And tragically, 2 people have been killed and 4 others seriously injured in what authorities say was a terrorist attack on a synagogue in the northern English city of Manchester. Now, the perpetrator, who was fatally shot by police after the attack, had rammed a car into a crowd of people, he was directing the car specifically at a group of people, obviously to cause harm, and then proceeded to stab people at the Heaton Park Hebrew Synagogue as worshipers observed Yom Kippur, which is considered the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. It also tends to be the day when synagogue attendance is at its highest, which is absolutely horrific. Now, authorities say that worshipers heroically prevented this suspect from gaining access into the synagogue, where more people could have ended up getting stabbed and killed. And this isn't the first time a terror attack happened in Manchester. In fact, back in 2017, if you guys can all recall, there was an attack. It was the deadliest attack in recent years when a suicide bomber targeted an Ariana Grande concert, killing 22 people. So just absolutely horrific. And as mentioned earlier, the suspect had been shot and killed by authorities, and the entire attack from beginning to when the suspect was shot and killed lasted about 10 minutes, and it was around 9 a.m. this morning. So authorities say that he was shot within 7 minutes of the attack. Now, here are some more details, and the details are gruesome, so I want to give you a warning ahead of time. A video uploaded to social media, which was verified by NBC News, shows a man lying on the ground outside the synagogue while 2 officers point their guns at him. When the man tries to get up, an officer fires a single round. But it took a while for authorities to confirm that the suspected perpetrator had actually died because he was wearing a vest that gave the appearance of an explosive device. So here's a still image from the New York Post. You might have seen this image. It's been floating around the internet ever since this story broke. It shows the suspect and the vest/device that he was wearing prior to him getting shot and killed by the authorities. So a bomb disposal technician was called to secure the situation after the suspect was shot. So here's some more detail about the suspect, and I want to give you guys a warning that this story is still developing. For instance, I looked to see if the authorities had identified the 2 victims who died as a result of this terrorist attack, and we don't have details on them, at least not from any reporting that I trust at the moment. But here's what we know about the suspect so far. So authorities have identified the suspect as 35-year-old British citizen of Syrian descent. His name is, or was, and I kid you not, Jihad al-Shami. The investigation is ongoing. According to NBC News, London's Metropolitan Police has taken over the investigation, which was initiated by the Greater Manchester Police, GMP. The London Metro Police is responsible for dealing with all counterterrorism investigations throughout the United Kingdom, which is why they have taken over the investigation. So this is being treated as a terror attack, although authorities are not specifying what the motive is. This investigation is ongoing. And there have been some arrests made in addition to the alleged suspect being shot and killed. I want to give you some more details on that according to the BBC.
Important to say, there've been a couple of arrests, haven't there? We don't know much about those or what the details of those arrests were.
No, 2 arrests made at an address not far from here, and they were made, I would say, about 1 o'clock this afternoon. So we knew that they were ongoing. It wasn't clear whether or not they were linked to what happened, but it seems that they were, with the Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police confirming that there have been 2 arrests. We did hear a number of controlled explosions here earlier this afternoon. We understand that was to do with getting into the vehicle that the assailant was driving at the time, because remember, this was an attack that involved a stabbing and a car being driven at a number of people. They were obviously having trouble getting into it safely, so they used the bomb disposals facilities to actually get into that car safely, to get the locks blown off by the sounds of it, and we've heard 3 explosions throughout the afternoon.
So again, those explosions were not the result of some terrorist attack. Those explosions were carried out by the authorities in their attempts to essentially search the vehicle that this perpetrator had, to see if there's any bombs, any other weapons in the vehicle. That's at least according to what authorities have initially said. Now, after that broadcast, which I just showed you video of, 1 more person was arrested, bringing the total number of individuals detained as possible suspects involved in this terrorist attack to 3. So 2 of them are men in their 30s and 1 is a woman in her 60s. They were taken into custody under suspicion of acts of terrorism. Now, I want to just say it's suspicion of acts of terrorism. They haven't been found guilty of anything. We don't even know the identities of these 3 individuals who have been arrested, but I just wanted to give you that background because there could potentially be more people involved outside of the suspect who was shot and killed by authorities. Now look, the fact of the matter is, hate crimes are absolutely on the rise. Some people I see minimizing the hate crimes that have been directed at innocent Jewish people across the globe, and you shouldn't do that, because it is a reality and there's data to back that up. So police data suggests that anti-Semitic hate crimes are in fact on the rise in England and Wales. Police recorded 3,282 of these offenses in the year ending March 2024, up from 1,543 hate crimes. So that's hate crimes in total. They're not just hate crimes directed at Jewish people. However, of those hate crimes, offenses against Jewish people made up 1/3 of all religious hate crimes recorded by police. And look, in terms of volume, in terms of sheer numbers, there is a higher number of hate crimes committed against Muslims in the UK. However, and that's because of the higher number of Muslims living in the UK. However, in regard to the rate of hate crimes that are committed, it appears that Jewish people have been targeted at a higher rate. And so the Home Office says that religious hate crimes against both Jewish people and Muslims has risen since the beginning of the Israel-Hamas conflict. And that brings me to the root of this issue. When you see what's happening on the ground, not just in Gaza, but the West Bank and what's been going down in the Middle East, there are ripple effects to that. And the ripple effects are devastating because the people who suffer are innocent people who should not fear going to their place of worship. 2 innocent people who have absolutely nothing to do with what's happening in the Middle East lost their lives today in a disgusting and tragic way, and 4 others were critically injured. This doesn't solve anything. All it does is spread more hatred, more fear, and all it does is claim the lives of more innocent people. To me, a life is precious regardless of their identity, whether they're Palestinians or whether they're Jewish people. Period, end of story. For me, what happened to these 2 individuals, the fact that their lives were robbed from them, is a gross injustice. And I have no problem speaking out against it. The thing that I do have a problem with, honestly, is that while it is a good thing that internationally this type of violence is condemned, the loss of innocent lives is condemned. I don't know why, but the fact of the matter is the same emotions are never conveyed when it comes to innocent Palestinians losing their lives, whether it's in the West Bank or Gaza. And I find that to be a gross injustice as well. But anyone who thinks directing hatred, discrimination, or violence against any innocent person, whether they are a Muslim Palestinian or a Jewish person, I am not in favor of them at all. Because for me, both sides, the civilians in both sides should be protected. Their lives are precious. The lives of Jewish people across the globe are precious. And I feel the same way about Palestinian civilians as well. So as this story develops, obviously we'll give you more details. I wanna know more about the victims here. But please, for anyone in the audience who's listening and takes what I have to say seriously, and I hope you do not allow what is currently being carried out in the Gaza Strip to convince you that hatred is the solution. Because all it does is make the problem worse. This doesn't solve anything, it doesn't help anyone. All it does is rob the lives of innocent people. And on top of that, by the way, it instills fear in the hearts of Jewish people who should feel comfortable and safe practicing their religion and going to whatever synagogue they want to go to. Anyway, just absolutely devastating story.